I don't know how many people have performed on stage, but smiling is an important factor when putting on a good show. If you're showing other people that you're having a good time, then people will also naturally have a good time. And it's fitting that this simple motif is spread across Olivia's family, and more specifically, Inigo.
I find that a smile brightens the darkest of days, don't you?
Inigo is a performer, and that's extremely important when it comes to understanding Inigo, and it's one of the few things that also sets him apart from the other children. And I don't mean performer like Owain either, where Owain is over the top and theatrical. I mean he's a genuinely good actor, and that's supported by his speech support conversation with his father, where Inigo will state, "Out here fighting every day, wondering if this is the last time I don't make it home. You may think me dandy and a fool, but a lot of people depended on me in the future. Every day I was out there fighting Risen and risking my life. With everyone looking to me to be strong, I had no choice. I had to be invincible. I couldn't complain or show any weaknesses. Not with everyone else struggling in that damn war-torn wasteland." Besides his crippling shyness and flirtatious nature, it's implied that Inigo doesn't really have a coping mechanism like the other children, and instead chooses to accept reality as it is, opting to focus on the positive things happening in his life and staying grounded. And perhaps that's why the dynamic that Inigo shares with Owain is so special, because they're the complete polar opposites of one another. One is grounded in reality, while the other is lost in his fantasy world as the chosen hero. If I was to briefly talk about their support conversation, their C support starts just as you would expect it to go. Owain is once again lost in his fantasy world, and Inigo calls Owain childish and embarrassing. The two bicker for a bit, and it ends with Inigo leaving Owain be, with Owain making remarks under his breath. The support really picks up in their B support, where Inigo comes by once again to tease the Owain who's lost in his fantasy world. Inigo steals Owain's book of names, and as he goes through the book, Inigo gains a sort of weird respect for Owain, in which he's taken away by the weird dedication Owain has for this sort of thing. Especially considering the fact that a lot of people would find Owain's antics interesting, to say the least. Owain offers to teach Inigo about his techniques, and before Inigo can even answer, he's swept away by Owain's flow. Their final A support conversation, Inigo comes to understand Owain's antics even further, where he would ask Owain certain question about certain weapons, with Owain answering with the name of the weapon, and Owain eventually teaches Inigo about carving names into his weapon, in which Inigo takes it too far by carving all the girls' names into his sword, making the sword unusable. While the support conversation is humorous, it really shows Inigo's ability to see things in a positive light. Owain is often described as difficult to get along with because of how he's so entrapped in his theatrical world. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and even Inigo is able to see through that and really appreciate Owain for who he is. In Fire Emblem Fates, Inigo renames himself to Laszlo to keep his identity hidden, as they were sent on a mission to help defeat the invisible dragon, Anikos, by the same part of Anikos himself. It's confusing. But it's here that we see Laszlo's relationship with Owain, now known as Odin, continue, and how much their bonds have grown between the two games. Their C support is a throwback to their original support from Awakening, starting with them bickering with each other, only to end with them dueling / sparring with each other, and Laszlo even picking up a nickname and special move for himself, Laszlo the Azure Skies and the Sacred Dance of the Mythic Blade. It's in their B support conversation where I think it starts to pick up. We see Laszlo's vulnerabilities as a character, where you can see him doubting himself, something that he's rarely shown even to his own father. Again, this support conversation is a throwback to their old B support, where Laszlo would steal Odin's Book of Names, only in this case it's a spell book. But there is a hint of sadness, as Laszlo feels like he doesn't really know who he is anymore, as he's become way too comfortable with the world around him. It's in their A support where I think it concludes nicely. Odin once again is there to really cheer up Laszlo. Together, they wonder about the previous world in Ylisse, and wonder what had actually happened to the place. Odin assures that his experiences, his struggles in the failed future are all real, and whatever struggles that they went through together in the correct future was also real. And after a quick throwback to the Harvest Festival DLC in Awakening, Odin says, "Ah, I remember that. Well, I meant every word. In any case, we'll be moving out any minute now. Let's get going, Inigo. In which Laszlo is taken aback by Odin calling him his real name, the previous name from his previous world.